Hey Daniel, what's going on?
I was just working on something over here. You know the well from Lassie that little Timmy gets stuck in all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I was doing my research, right, and a brilliant thought popped into my head. What if that is the exact same well as the well from Coraline that the other mother's hand gets chopped into?
Coraline?
That's a
Yeah,
very
she-
interesting theory, man.
Yeah.
And also, the reason why it's the same one is because it's also the same well from Annabelle. With all that ghosty guys, they didn't want us to know about it.
Oh,
Nice.
I think you're kind of reaching there, man.
Nah. Okay, just there's Ghost, right, and the other mother, and little Timmy. He was trapped in the well, guys.
I don't know about that.
I don't know, guys. I don't think
debatable.
I don't think you're onto
You don't know.
something.
You guys don't know anything. The universe is
think-
a hologram.
I think you're a little crazy, man.
Yeah.
Guys, I think we gotta do something about
No,
this.
no.
Guys,
Yo.
hold him down. Hold him
Oh my
down.
God.
Get him! Get him up!
Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Boys Lunch Table Podcast. And this episode is special because it's our last one of season 1.
Hey yo! Woo!
Yeah.
Nice on.
All excited, but we're actually not going to really deal with the wrap up right now. It's just another ordinary day at the lunch table. And it's exciting because I've been ready for this one. In this episode, we're going to be each presenting a theory, except for Sinric and Kalichi, who teamed up to deliver a theory.
Double
The
team.
theory was too good. I couldn't do it by myself.
You know, a bunch of
Honestly, you could have
patsies.
let.
So yeah, the way this is gonna go is that we're each gonna present a theory on a video game. We've each chosen a game and character and stuff, and we're gonna present it. And then if anyone wants to, they could debunk it or I guess add to it if you're dumb. And then at the very end, we're all gonna say who we think has the most valid theory. And you can't vote for yourself. And Sinric and Klitsch, you can't collaborate because you're a team. You have to vote unbiasedly.
I got it.
Oh, okay, good. I hope you got it because you guys are up to some sneaky stuff. I was watching you typing your
Amen,
stuff in the
amen.
Google Doc. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah.
I tell you, our theory was kind of spicy.
Oh, really? It's kind of spicy, huh?
It really is.
All right. Another thing too, if we used elements of other people's theories out there, and we have not credited them, that was completely unintentional. If you guys could comment and just tell us whose original theory it was, we'll credit them in the the description. If not, we'll be sure to say where we got our information from.
Agreed.
Right.
Nice
Nice on.
on.
Let's actually go. All right, so the first person I think is going to be Kenny, who
Yes.
obviously is first because he's the best public speaker I've ever met in my life.
All right.
That's cap.
I don't know if that's true, but
Kenny, your voice is like
Angelic.
buttermilk. It's angelic. It pours down my ears like honey.
Oh my god.
Sticky and golden.
all right. So for my theory, as far as I know, I'm the original one of this theory. If somebody else has come up with it first, please again let us know. Okay, so my theory is different because it combines a movie, or like a game, and like a book /
Yeah.
movie.
Okay.
All right, so my
Alright.
game, my game I picked was Dead by Daylight. We all know like the entity, right? The big bad, mysterious bad guy,
Oh,
like
Mhm.
or
straight
thing.
up beauty.
Shout out to our Dead by Daylight episode.
Woo!
Yeah.
Episode 5.
Yeah.
It's actually episode 5.
Agreed.
I thought it was later than that, but all right.
Could have been
Well,
6.
no, it's not. It's
No, I think 6 was Marvel.
Between
Yeah.
5 and
okay.
6.
Okay, guys, it's fine. Okay, let's go the other way.
All right. No, but my thing is that the entity is actually Pennywise.
Nani?
Damn.
Pennywise the dancing clown.
From It.
Dang.
So,
Okay,
so my theory is after the ritual of chewed that the kids did or the adults did to him in it
Yeah.
chapter 2, he wised up. He's like, you know what? I can't just go out there myself anymore because they're on to me and it was dangerous.
Yeah.
But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically become a manager. So I'm gonna create my own realm, which he has been known to being able to warp reality and interdimensionalize between realms.
Yeah.
He's gonna pick some of his favorite hunters or killers, and he's gonna go around and he's gonna set up his own game so he can feed off the fear of the people during the game.
My man Pennywise took project management, and
Yeah.
he was like,
I can
he
do
came
that.
back to show everyone what he learned.
With
Yes.
an absolute like briefcase and like a guys, I've got the goods.
Because it has been said that both of them have feed on fear, that the entity
Yeah.
feeds on fear, and that Pennywise feeds on fear.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It has been known that the entity can block certain things, and Pennywise can shapeshift to block anything he really needs to.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
Like when you jump through a pallet so many times, like when you jump through a window so many times,
I see.
the,
Yeah.
the entity can block it. Well, Pennywise could also block it just by shapeshifting into a piece of wood or whatever, like the little sticks or
Okay.
spikes, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, Dead by Daylight, he's been known to do the 3 lights, the insane lights.
The deadlights.
Yes,
Is that in Dead by Daylight?
it's
No,
the
no.
title.
Penny. Well, I mean, I think Kenny means like the deadlights from It. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lights. Like, in his,
Oh, I thought he meant. I was thinking that the actual deadlights are in the game.
No. But like Dead Lights, Dead by Daylight,
I got it.
Right.
play on words.
I
Yeah.
could see a connection there. Yeah.
Yeah, and he picks his favorite killers from across the thing.
across the multiverse.
Yeah.
Whoa. Very interesting. Very interesting.
I don't even like. Do you have like any more evidence for that?
Not much. I mean, very little is known of the entity, so it's hard to link it to anything.
It's so vague.
I think
Yeah.
I think what is cool about Kenny's theory and probably what's also why it sounds so complicated is because what we were saying earlier, you can't disprove it, but you also can't like really prove it. It's almost like it could be and it can also not be. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
But
It's
you know what?
It's like there's nothing that you could really say to be like, no, that's false.
Yeah.
But again,
okay,
there's nothing I can
let's-
really say that actually like hard evidence links.
Yeah, but that's mainly because you don't see the entity at
No.
all.
You know, though, not like I just want to say, like, just to have some whimsical aspect for it, like to. So, Kenny, so you're suggesting that because the entity is kind of like a deity in the DBD world, you're suggesting that since Pennywise is technically he is some
Yeah.
sort of god, like he is some sort of weird.
I think they call him like a demigod of fear or something like that.
Or like a cosmic.
A cosmic. They
cosmic-
call him like a cosmic energy of fear. Like
Yeah, some sort of being. So
yeah.
it's not that crazy. It's not like
No.
because Pennywise only takes the shape of a clown because of what is it? Just like it's what people fear most, I guess.
It's
Like
He
basically
just likes it.
it's what
Yeah.
people it's what most people fear and it's what he likes.
yeah. So I would assume that like because if you ever watch guys, you've seen the second movie for It, right? I mean, like we've seen that before he turned into a clown, he was like he could like it's not really his true form. Like
Is
we
those
don't really
lights, I
know.
think.
Yeah, it's
I-
just lights, right? So he could just be manifesting as the entity is those like crab or spider arms or whatever.
He could be manifesting as all of that. Like
Yeah.
I
Agreed.
think an important thing to kind of note is that I hope you didn't say this. I thought I'd been listening, but everything you see of the entity is like these kind of leggy kind of tentacle things with like spikes at the end, right?
Like
Yeah.
a spider.
And impale you on the hook and stuff. It kind of looks similar to the legs of his ultimate spider form he takes in It Chapter 2. And that's supposed to be like his true form that the human mind could comprehend, right?
Oh, right. Right.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting.
The only thing I'm wondering though is okay. On the one hand, it would make sense that Pennywise would create this sort of game or never-ending game where he could feed on the survivors and killers like lust for blood and
Fear and
lack of hope, right? And
yeah.
fear. What I'm not understanding though is what would he need really with like okay, the entity's job is to bring survivors and killers to his realm, right? What would Pennywise really need from them if he could just do it himself? You know what I mean? Like, because
It's just like it's just easier for him to get somebody else to do it and feed off the benefits, kind of thing.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's kind of like, I guess Pennywise hunts, right? And he eats and then he has to fall asleep. Meanwhile, if he just brings people to this pocket dimension thing and over makes them despair and fear for their lives and stuff, he's just constantly being fed.
Also,
He's
yeah.
constantly being fed with doing less work because he's got
Yeah.
he's got Michael
And-
Myers and Freddy doing the work for him of making
that
sure
makes-
people are fear.
That makes sense as well because in the last movie, this kind of also helps him kind of stay out of danger. So he
Yeah.
could just stand back and watch while, he's just constantly feeding. Whereas him doing it himself kind of puts
He's in
himself
he's in a bigger risk and he takes less of the cut. Like he
like
he can only
the
scare
movie-
one group at a time, while he can have Freddy and Michael Myers scaring two groups.
in the movie, doesn't he? What was it? In the first It movie, he's tearing all his kids and everything, right? And then in the
Yeah.
second movie, it's like 20 something years later, around that
27.
time. And then the only way he comes back is because he got hungry again, right?
Mhm.
And by using Dead by Daylight, now he doesn't have to come back because he
No.
used that as a way to
He's
keep
just
himself
like you
fueled.
said, he's constantly getting fed.
That's yeah.
I'm here to win this, right? So I'm gonna try to see if I can knock you down. Again, these aren't like concrete points because it's so vague.
Mm.
But first of all, I read up a little bit on the entity, and it feeds a lot on despair and fear, like Pennywise. But apparently, it's also been known to feed on things like anger and affection.
Yeah.
So it can feed on emotions other than fear. Which I don't know if that matters that much, but
Mm.
it seems a little odd for Pennywise. And then also it said online, again, I don't even know if it's a valid source, but that the entity will sometimes keep a killer in a loop for years and years, torturing them because they're not all reluctant. Like some of them are reluctant to become pawns for the entity, so he'll keep them in a loop for a long time until they like give in to him. And he's really patient that way. Whereas Pennywise seems to be sort of impatient almost. Like you see him drooling over his prey, and in It Chapter 2, he was like dying for the losers to come back to face them again, right?
Yeah.
So he
Yes.
personality wise. Then again, it could be after he gets beaten, he kind of wises up.
Wises
right?
up. He can wise up, and he can also be patient if he's getting fed on the side.
That's true. He wouldn't need to be as desperate if he's
He wouldn't need
constantly.
to make sure that this killer's working if he has 6 others working.
Yeah. No, honestly, that's what I'm saying. I can't knock you down, Kenny. Your public speaking skills are too strong for me.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a very interesting theory, like to think
It's
about.
hard to count it.
Yeah.
I feel like the only way to
open-ended.
Sorry?
It's so open-ended. It's hard
Yes.
to
Yeah.
It's open ended until they finally make it a killer, and it.
That's what I was just saying. I'm like the only way to disprove it is that Pennywise is a killer in the game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they find out that he's not. If they make him a killer and he's actually the entity, I want everyone to take this in the comments. But
Yeah,
I'm pretty
okay.
sure in, the It book they talked about how it's a like interdimensional being.
yeah,
And
Yeah.
then is it the what was it called? The movie of the book called The Dark Tower that connects all of Stephen King's books to like
Yeah.
the universe. And
well,
it's
there's the theory
there.
that this is a slightly different theory, but there's a theory that it is the villain in all King books.
Okay, the
that is-
shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Wasn't that from Game Theory?
Yes, from film theory. Yes, from
Film Theory, yeah.
Yes, but that he's the one from all all Stephen King books. That he shapeshifts into different. So when he actually goes away for 20 odd years or how many ever years it is, all he does is move towns, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I kind of like that. And,
I like
and
that
you know
too.
what? If that's true and that he doesn't actually sleep, he just moves town to town. It would kind of make sense that after he's been killed, like his physical form, he wouldn't need to go rest anywhere. He just goes to his dimension and starts like doing his work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is-
that's
start
cool.
start his business, I guess, his business of fear, I guess you could call it.
Business.
Management of fear.
Here's a free
Pennywise the
consultation.
managerial clown.
It's actually a pretty interesting theory, man.
Oh man.
Nice
Nice.
on, Kenny.
Nice.
Nice
on.
Nice on.
Alrighty.
Thanks,
Was
Kenny.
that-
So I'll go now since that was a good segue.
It's kind of hard to segue from it to Nintendo.
Hold on.
Watch me. Watch me. Speaking of things that make your skin crawl as you hear a bump in the night, I'm doing another spooky character. You see that? That's how you do it.
Brilliant.
Show me how it's done.
It was so good that I felt like it was a bit much. But all good ideas feel like that. Okay, so the game I chose was Luigi's Mansion, the first one. And the character I'm doing it on is Vincent Van Gogh, who is the starving artist, the portrait ghost, who is said to be the one to create all of the basic ghost enemies in Luigi's Mansion. Not the other bosses, but the basic ghost he's created by painting them onto a canvas, and then they appear. So,
Nice.
yeah, so that's just a little background on my man. And so my theory is that every painting in the Mario franchise, like from Mario 64, Odyssey, Sunshine, all of those are either his directly or were basically ideas stolen from him in his life.
That's sick. That's actually sick.
So he's the painter in the Mario world.
So before he died, he was a painter.
Oh, and then he showed up in Luigi's Mansion. Okay.
Yeah, so Vincent was 39, I think, or not 39.
Oh,
He was
okay.
30, and during that time, he sold 0 paintings the entire
Really?
time. So my man didn't really do that well for himself. So in my theory, first of all, in the game, he seems to be of European descent, primarily French. And we see in Mario Odyssey that the place that is inspired by France is Seaside Kingdom. So that's where I'm placing him, that he lived during his life. So he started there, according to my theory, and he worked as a painter. And over this time, he realized his art wasn't selling. So he worked to try to make it more lively so people would pay more attention to it. So he worked and he created a paintbrush where he could achieve this goal. So he went around from kingdom to kingdom, and here he did a painting of each of the kingdoms. First of all, I said that he stopped in, what was the kingdom? It's okay, we'll just cut all this out. We'll cut out all the parts where I'm just thinking. Okay.
Oh, good, man.
So he went to Luncheon Kingdom, which was inspired by Italy, most specifically Mount Vesuvius. And another character that has an Italian accent, right? Another character that has been known to be inspired from an Italian character is Il Piantissimo from Mario Sunshine. So I'm saying that along the way he picked up Il Piantissimo and became friends with him, as well as him stopping in Shiveria, which is from Snow Kingdom in Mario Odyssey, where he met Sir Weston, who's another ghost from the franchise. And the reason that ties in is because Sir Weston is the ghost that gives you the key to Vincent Van Gogh's room. So I'm saying that Vincent wouldn't have entrusted his room key to anybody other than a close friend. So that's why I'm saying he met him during life and befriended him.
Interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to clarify: is this a theory that you made yourself?
Yeah, no. This is the reason it's so rambly is because I made it myself. All right, so I'm saying he traveled all over the place. He created the paintings we see in Mario Odyssey of all the various kingdoms, and they sat there, and none of them sold. And eventually he died, and he became bitter. So eventually we know that he gets captured by Professor Egad, And Egad sees this amazing paintbrush that he made, and he's like, I think I'm going to take that for myself. So he does, and he basically just steals it and puts his logo on it. And that is what becomes eventually Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, because Bowser Jr. got a paintbrush that he claims was made by Professor Egad. And with this, he's able to create marks that he could use as warps. It's just graffiti in Mario Sunshine as well. But it's interesting because he can use it to warp, which is the exact same power as the warp paintings in Mario Odyssey, which I'm claiming that Van Gore made in his lifetime.
I got a quick question. Who's Professor Egad?
Professor Egad is the scientist from Luigi's Mansion that captured the ghost. Okay. So I did my research and I was like, is it actually confirmed where any of the paintings come from? And in Mario 64, actually, they confirmed who made the paintings from that game. And according to a Toad, it was Bowser himself. He says Bowser has stolen the castle stars and he's using their power to create his own world and the paintings and the walls. So I'm like, oh shoot, theory busted. But I'm saying now that Bowser saw these paintings from around the various kingdoms and used this inspiration to make his own sort of paintings. But he didn't have the paintbrush, so he went to a power source that he knew was very powerful, which is the power stars. And since it's not quite right, he wasn't able to make warps to various places. He was able to make his own very small worlds, which is why they're so confined in Mario 64.
Oh my god.
Okay.
My mind is blown.
Oh.
I'll be
Yeah,
honest with you, I've
that
never
was
played
sick.
none of the
So
games.
he
So do you have
took
any
this-
examples of the paintwork?
Like Bob on is it Bob on Battlefield? Is that one
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
That's one of the levels where it's a very small area. You can't go past it. It's basically a floating rock in space. So Bowser created this, and he didn't have the proper tool, which was the original paintbrush. So he just tried to make his own version of it based on the paintings he'd seen before.
That's actually sick. Like,
So, go ahead.
oh no, that was it. That was it.
And all this kind of sounds a little bit crazy, but I do wrap it up in a nice way. Because at the end of Super Mario Sunshine, the paintbrush gets left on one of the islands. I think it's called Island Gelato or something. And the one standing there staring at it, seeming to recognize the paintbrush, is Il Piantissimo, the guy that I said traveled with Van Gore around the kingdoms. And wouldn't it just make a lot of sense that he would recognize a paintbrush that looked an awful lot like the one he'd seen in life?
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
even-
gosh.
Even when you take away the evidence, it's just poetic justice that this starving artist lived his whole life, not a single person would buy his paintings, and he dies and suddenly they're all the rage and everyone wants a piece. And it's just like real life.
Oh my god. Okay, this is probably one of the most interesting Nintendo theories I've ever heard in my life. Like, I'm not even just saying that because I wouldn't even have thought to connect those two. Like, until, like, Dana, I knew about your theory before we recorded this episode, but, like, it never crossed my mind that the fact Bowser Jr.'s paintbrush was at all connected with Van Gore. Hell, even like just Luigi's Mansion entirely. Like, and just honestly, there's nothing thinking about it. It looks like it could hold water. I mean, like, think about it. Like, where else would the paintings have come from? Like the ones like from the Mario 64, like you said, or
Igor
like
could have made them. It'd be
Ego's scientist, isn't it? Or he claims to be.
Even if Egad made a lot of these paintings, I'm saying that this was directly ripped off of the paintbrush he got when he captured Van Gore originally.
Oh, what about Van Gogh's friend that traveled with him? He didn't do everything. Once he realized that all these paintings are from the person he traveled around with, couldn't he have been like, I don't know, honor my friend, get the paintbrush back?
Well, he ends up with the paintbrush at the end of Super Mario Sunshine, supposedly. And actually,
Really? Okay.
another little bit of evidence is that Il Piantissimo he's a racer. That's the whole point. He would have wanted to travel the world, and do all this, to race around. And you race him in Super Mario Sunshine. In Mario Odyssey, which I'm saying is most recent in this timeline, all of the Koopas that are around the various areas ask you to race. And that just adds to my theory, because as he was traveling with Van Gore during his lifetime, he would have spread this love for racing around the kingdoms that he traveled in.
Right. Okay. Sorry. So just for my clarity sake, so you're saying that all in all, Van Gore was the one who created the original painting Ghost, and I guess in some sort of snowball effect, ultimately also created the paintings we see in Peach's Castle in '64, and yeah, and any other kind of magical painting that, or just regular ones for that matter.
In the most basic way I could break it down, he created the original paintings that you see scattered around the world in Odyssey. He dies. Bowser Jr. gets the paintbrush, who uses it to make all the stuff in Sunshine. And Bowser in Mario 64 ripped off the idea using Power Stars instead of a paintbrush to make those paintings. So all of it's either his directly in Mario Odyssey, or it was spawned and ripped off from him.
And in Luigi's Mansion, what's his role in that?
So his role in that is that he creates all the portrait ghosts,
Okay.
and he's using a paintbrush, but it's not the same one. This one's only able to bring these ghosts to life, and he's unaware that all of his work had been used like this because he's just trapped in this mansion. And before that, he'd been trapped in a painting Egad had put him in. Who, may I just add, probably also ripped his painting technology off of Van Gore.
Man, everybody's just ripping off this man.
Honestly.
I just think it's very poetic, because artists all the time in real life are so unappreciated, and then they die and all their stuff becomes crazy expensive.
That's very true.
So are you saying he created these painting ghosts out of revenge for whoever were to come?
I don't think that's revenge, because he doesn't know that his stuff has been ripped off of.
Oh. So
he's just vengeful in Luigi's Mansion, and he doesn't know that his paintings have been used and ripped off so many times.
So how was he able to? And this isn't me trying to debunk anything. I'm just trying to understand. So if Bowser Jr. Sorry, I'm kind of confused a bit of the timeline aspect. Does Sunshine come after Luigi's Mansion or before?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if Bowser Jr. has that paintbrush, how does he end up bringing these ghosts to life?
He had a different paintbrush.
Yeah, he doesn't have the same paintbrush because it was taken from him. But in his ghostly afterlife, he's able to have something similar, but not as powerful.
Okay. Right. Okay.
Yeah, you see all the portrait ghosts have weird powers after they die. Like Mr. Luggs can shoot fireballs because it kind of resembles heartburn from eating too much and stuff like that.
He's. I just want to say, this is totally unrelated. He's one of my favorite ghosts in Luigi's Mansion.
He is my favorite ghost of Luigi's Mansion. I love Mr. Luggs.
So good. It took me a while to figure out that you have to vacuum his food to activate him or something like that. I'm like, what am I supposed to do here?
There and I was like, what? Why is he just sitting, man?
I know. It's notice me. I'm here. Oh my god.
Yeah, so that's my theory. I'm sorry if I rambled, but I had a lot.
No, not at all, dude. That was I was purely just trying to get a whole grasp on it. That is sick. And to be flat out honest, I can't think of anything that could invalidate it or whatever, or debunk it, because Kenny's. It sounds like it could be true. I mean, what other explanation could there be, right? Until Nintendo officially releases a statement saying so and so, I'm and if they ever do, it better be this, whatever Daniel just said.
They better be sending me royalties, is all I'm saying.
Right? Because actually, that would play so nicely. It won't change the entirety of the Mario story, but man, it would add so much. Just that little detail, that'd be so sick.
It would also tie in a smaller Mario game series into the greater fan base.
100%.
The theory sounds pretty solid to me.
The
Yeah,
theory
that
sounds
makes, that
incredibly
makes
solid
sense.
to me.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing. I'm like, after I heard Daniel's explanation, I'm like, dang. I mean, this is pretty all wrapped up in a nice bow, man.
It all kind of ties together. 'Cause
Yeah.
in Mario Sunshine, what the painted Mario? What's he called?
Shadow Mario.
Shadow Mario. He has the paintbrush, the Bowser shooting game, right?
Yeah,
Which Shadow Mario is
That's what he's using. That this guy had. That was his paintbrush, right?
yeah. He said it was given to him by EGAD. I'm not sure whether he stole it actually or EGAD just got like
Right.
used it as
It
much
was
as he
given to
wanted
him,
to.
and then Egad stole it off this person
Yeah.
and claimed it as his own.
Yeah, exactly. Because it functions very similarly, and he literally just had to slap a logo on it.
Yeah, but also no one knew this guy, and so if he
Yeah,
was said, "Don't worry about him. He's not real." People were like, "Ah, okay, true."
Yeah, who's gonna believe that he is a ghost in a painting somewhere who actually came up with the idea?
That's
It's
a
actually
pretty solid theory.
Yeah, it's
Sick.
pretty,
Let's
pretty
actually
cool.
let's actually go. You know what
I'm
I'm
actually pretty impressed that you came up with that by yourself.
saying? Thank you.
I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult on Sinric.
so
No,
it's like it's so dumb. I can't believe any human can come up with that.
Yeah, dude, it was so like unintelligent of a theory. I'm
Bruh.
surprised you came up with it. No, but for real, it's a pretty good theory, especially tying in like the classics, Sunshine and 64.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Pretty good
I've
games.
never played Luigi's Mansion, but I played Sunshine and 64. And when you talked about the paintbrush and the painting, I'm like, damn, that's a good point.
I just
Let's
recently
go.
I just recently finished replaying Luigi's Mansion, and actually literally 2 weeks ago I beat Van Gore, and I'm like, dang, this is tasty.
And Van Gogh is the final
They are-
boss in Luigi's Mansion.
No, the
he-
final
he-
boss is King Boo, but
He's
He's
actually
one of the
not.
bosses.
He's not even a floor boss. He's like a mid boss before you fight. Who's the boss of that floor?
I think it's that collective of boos, like the ones that go in that
Oh,
little circle.
Yeah.
Or is it-
Boolossus.
Yeah, Boolossus, that's it.
Colossus.
That scene in that game is actually both funny and terrifying. Just imagine Luigi coming onto that floor and these boos having like a cult circle and then morph into one boo. It's like, what?
They literally circled him just to make him like fear for his life.
I know, dude. That whole scene is actually pretty creepy if you think about it. Imagine spirits just forming this cult circle around you and just like.
Well, just to be clear, so about this theory,
Yeah.
you did not get any information from outside sources, right?
If I pulled from any theories that exist, it was unintentional. I came up with this all myself, and if it was overlapped, it would be
This
not
is,
my
This
choice.
is
So what we're
one-
saying is basically, if I see a video that comes out after this podcast on the same exact theory,
It's
we know
ripped.
who copied us.
Bruh.
This is a 100% TOT Daniel theory.
Exactly.
Slap the trademark a copyright on that, and no one can steal it.
If you want to
Yeah.
perpetuate the theory, by all means, but give me some credit. Just give me some credit.
Oh
Yeah, give him 5% of the monetary
Yeah,
financial gain
monetary
you
gain.
earn.
Only 5%.
You mean 95, right, Cynic?
Oh yeah, my bad. You get 5%, we get 95. I mean Daniel.
Also Nintendo. If you want to hire Daniel for a writer,
Yeah,
you know where to hit him up.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
Miyamoto,
We'll accept,
I
we'll
got
accept no
this-
less
I
than
got
$1 million
this,
signing bonus.
No less?
I got this mini putt thing going on, but Miyamoto, I know you're a busy guy. We could just go meet up, skip all that, get the slushies. We'll meet up with Dan Aykroyd real quick, and then you could be on your way. You know what I'm saying?
Okay,
And Will Ferrell.
so guys,
Will
okay,
Ferrell.
Don't
guys,
forget Ice Cube. Don't forget
Yeah,
Ice Cube.
America's #1 baby boy, Ice Cube.
I just want to say,
I believe also Tom Hanks.
so guys,
There's a lot of people. I think we need to just do a compilation at the very end of all the people that I said.
guys, all I'm saying is that it's now confirmed that we've added Shigeru Miyamoto to this list now.
I hope that Shigeru accepts.
All right, so let's go to our next topic.
Yeah, so the same way I got some Bowser Jr. in my topic, I think you got some Bowser Jr. in yours, right, Alec?
Oh, I've got lots of Bowser Juniors in mine. Okay, guys, so here we go. My
Wait,
theory,
you just stopped yourself from doing a transition.
I never have good transitions, but that's my shtick now. Don't you remember Dead by Daylight? I literally said, "So Kenny, let's go to you now. This is my segue." So my theory is why Morton Koopa is the best ruler and actually ultimate ruler of all Nintendo lands, and yeah, everyone should worship Morton Koopa. No,
Morton
it's not.
hears that. Oh, never mind. I don't hear it anymore.
You already
You
know
mean
I'm worshiping
who?
Martin.
Oh, 100%. Okay, but in all serious, my theory is I'm gonna try and give my 2 cents on who the Koopalings are. Okay, because this is one of the probably most long-standing debates in Nintendo history, and I'm gonna settle it once and for all right here with my half original theory. Okay, so
Oh.
I do have to give credit to Loxton and Noggin on YouTube for the inspiration for my theory.
Nice.
I got some inspiration from them after watching their I believe it was called the Koopalings parents theory. Anyways, so I'll try to explain it as best I can. So, statement first, my theory is I do not believe that the Koopalings, despite them being portrayed as Bowser's children, are not in fact blood related to Bowser. So here's the thing. In recent interviews with Shigeru Miyamoto, it's the current story of the Koopalings is that they're not related to Bowser. The only blood related child or like offspring of Bowser is Bowser Jr. Okay? So here's my theory. Going back to, you guys ever played Super Mario World Yoshi's Island or Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island? Like, you remember that game? Or
Played Yoshi's
No.
Island.
yeah. Okay. Well, okay. That game is basically, I don't really want to explain it all, but like Baby Mario and Baby Luigi, like they're brought by a stork, and then Kamek comes and steals the babies because he has a foresight that these people or these
The
two
baby.
twins, the babies, are going to cause a trouble for the Koopa Kingdom, right? So, judging, looking at this game, this is where it all starts. Okay, so there's a small detail in that game that I think a lot of Nintendo fans kind of forget a lot about Bowser and his species, or just Bowser in general. He's royalty. So Bowser is the king of the Koopa Troop, right? So nobody knows who Bowser's parents are. Okay, right? We've never seen them, but the first introduction of Bowser is Baby Bowser in Yoshi's Island, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think like over the years, I think people forgot, because he's always been portrayed as like, Mario's arch nemesis, like he's this big villain. But I think a lot of people forget, if they don't, I just want to bring it up again. He technically is royalty in the Mushroom Kingdom, not same as Peach's royalty. But his clan, he's a king. Okay, so and he was born into a life of wealth. Okay, so
Yeah.
here's sorry, I'm just trying to set up the set up what I'm trying to talk about the Koopalings here. So okay, and so yeah. Anyways, the Koopalings. What I'm trying to say is that sorry, it's gonna get. I'm trying to do this as best I can. It's just really confusing, and I have it like all on notes here that I'm trying to read off of. Okay, so here's the thing.
We'll just edit around all this
Yeah,
stuff because
yeah,
I
yeah.
did it too. Yeah.
Sorry,
Agreed.
editors.
No, you won't.
Agreed. Okay, so here's my thing. So starting with Bowser, here's my theory. Okay, we've never seen his parents. I assume his parents left, or like he was just there. The one that was always around him was Kamek, that wizard-looking Koopa
Yeah.
thing. He's raised Bowser since in infancy, and it's actually kind of cool to see that he's kind of like the Alfred to his Batman. Like he's raised him on his own, and obviously not doing a great parent job because he turns into like the most evil thing in the Koopa Kingdom, or Mushroom Kingdom, anyways.
I
So
think he's misunderstood. He's just a nice guy,
exactly.
He just wants a forceful marriage, which is probably bad. But he's a big turtle man.
He's nice enough that they invite him go karting.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
It's all. Actually, I have a cool theory about that, but that on a different story. Anyways,
Season 2.
I'm
Season
gonna-
2.
yeah, season 2. Anyways, I'm just gonna jump right into it because I'm just rambling on about Bowser's childhood. Okay, so I don't think that the Koopalings are directly related to Bowser. So if we look at their first appearance was in Super Mario Bros. 3. And if anyone's ever played that classic, you should because it's probably one of my favorite Mario games of all time. So the Koopalings were first introduced there as minions to Bowser, for him to send out each of his Koopalings to conquer parts of the Mushroom Kingdom. Each were given a what do you ship? What do you call those? Like a battleship or whatever. And
Yeah.
Mario, your job was to basically climb on these, get to the ship, defeat the Koopaling, and return the magic wand that they stole from the king of the land, so they can be turned back to their regular self. Okay, so in the Nintendo Power Guide, or like I think it was a Nintendo Power Guide. Anyways, officially released by Nintendo. This is where I want to begin. You guys know Morton, my probably favorite Koopaling.
The man himself.
The man himself. Here's let's take it step by step here. If you look at each of the Koopalings, none of them resemble, like, hear me out for a second. None of them resemble Bowser exactly. The only Koopa kid that really is a spinning image of him is Bowser Jr., obviously, which would make sense to their current story that the only blood related child of Bowser's is Bowser Jr. So here's my theory. Bowser being royalty, I believe that, we've never seen Bowser's parents. So here's the thing. I believe that the Koopa kids are of the same species as Bowser and put into that same scenario where they were abandoned somewhere, or they're just a different class of Koopa, which is in the same class as Bowser. Like, so whatever Bowser is, he's his own species of Koopa. Same with the Koopa kids, or the Koopalins, like Iggy, Lemmy, Roy, whatever, right? So they're going to grow up to become like Bowser's, right? So my theory is that they were discovered by Bowser. My theory kind of splits into two, but my main thing is that they are a part of the Koopa royal family. So so they're not directly related, but they're in the same clan. So this is what I'm trying to get at. You guys know, think of it kind of like I want to say like a mafia gang kind of thing. So think of it like you have different sections of the family. Bowser might have, like, I'm not saying he has brothers or things, but anyways, there's the Koopa royal family. So now sorry, I know I'm jumping everywhere. Bowser Jr. is in line for next of the throne, technically, to Bowser's, ruling, right? So these Koopalings are part of the same royal family of Koopas, the same as Bowser. So he takes them under his wings and said, "You can come and help me, because obviously we're in the same family. So I'll adopt you under my wing. You'll be my Koopalings, and I'll show you the ropes on how to run this kingdom and basically destroy the Mushroom Kingdom and rule it, and stuff." So,
Yeah.
anyways, in one small sentence, they're not directly Bowser's children, but of the same clan. And so, yeah, that's what I think there are. And I feel like whoever their parents are resemble like Bowser. For example, if we look at, like, I don't know, what's that? I just remember him by Lemmy. Lemmy, blue shell. There is a Bowser that has a blue shell, like just like his, himself. Anyways, does this all make sense?
So are you saying that there is other Koopas of the same subspecies that Bowser is, because obviously he's different than the other Koopas we see?
Yeah.
That there's like more of him somewhere, and that each of the Koopa kids is like a different child, or like one gave birth to all of them?
I'm saying they're all different children, almost kind of like. See, I don't want to say they're nephews and nieces of Bowser, but I want to say, like, here's the best way I could describe it, I was trying to think of during the week. Okay, if you've ever watched Star Wars, you know Jabba the Hutt, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he has a gang family, the Hutts. They're a gang collective, right? So
The
like
Hut gang.
yeah, the Hutt gang, right? So I'm thinking this is kind of the same scenario where Bowser is kind of like Jabba, where he's like, the head of the royal Koopa family, and there's other members of his family who we don't know, but we do know that these Koopalings are next in line to the throne after Bowser Jr., right? So what I'm saying is that they were picked up by Bowser. And what I was trying to say about before with Yoshi's Island, Bowser never had like a father or a mother, right? So my theory is that he wants to give these Koopalings the life that he never had and adopted them, as his own adopted children within his clan and be like, you know what, let's rule together. So that's what I think the Koopalings are.
So they're like a race. So-
Yeah, they're basically like, yeah, because originally I thought they were of the same species as something called a boom boom, which do you guys know what kind of Koopa class that is? Or
Yeah, Boom Booms are like the mid bosses in a lot of the Mario games, and they just recently added a female one named Pom Pom, right?
Agreed. So my original theory is that they were like them because they do share quite a lot of characteristics as those types of Koopas. Their shells are spiked. They do have the same kind of like they can go in their shell and spin around. The only difference is the front of their shell. The species of Bowser don't have that hard husk in front of them, like that connecting kind of shell. Their shells are kind of like only on their back, whereas Boom Booms have their whole casing, right? Um, so
Oh, yeah, that's true.
yeah, so I'm saying the Koopalings are a completely different species on their own. Like Bowser and the Koopalings and Bowser Jr. are a different class of Koopa, like the highest and like
They could be a, what is it called, like a relating species or a branching
yeah,
off
like
species.
they're a variant for sure, right? And the
Yes.
thing is that made me think about that was because of their shell color. Because Boom Booms all have the same. Okay, forget like the female species like Pom Pom.
I think
Male
Pom
Boom
Pom
Booms.
is just a Boom Boom.
Yeah, so male Boom Booms have red shells, like all of them pretty much do, and Pom Poms all have that kind of glisten, kind of. They almost have like a ladybug kind of pattern on their shell. Um, whereas the Koopalings all have varying colors and pretty vibrant as well, right? So, I mean, yeah, that's what I'm saying, and it would make sense too because Bowser Jr. is the only one who shares a lot of same traits as Bowser, like skin tone, hair color, snout shape, jawline, everything shell color and shell design is exactly like he's definitely Bowser's children. The other ones, I can see how they're not. Like they're definitely not directly related to Bowser.
Um,
So
I have a question though. So are you saying that none of the Koopalings are related to each other, as in like direct siblings? Or is it possible that several of them, like example, Morton and Roy are brothers, whereas Wendy is just an adoptive sibling to those two?
Wait, which was Roy? Oh,
Roy is
the other one, isn't it?
the
Yeah, the other
glasses,
big one.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, okay, I considered that. See, in the old cartoons of Mario, which I don't think are canon, they they were they were brothers and sisters. Like they were portrayed as like all siblings and stuff like that. But that's not really canon. So what I'm saying is that I don't think they are at least in my theory, they aren't they're adopted brothers and sisters, right?
It is confirmed that the Koopalings are adopted.
Yeah. And so what I'm saying, so because I forgot to mention one little thing about Morton. Morton's full name is Morton Koopa Jr. Now here's
I actually had researched that. I was thinking about that.
right. So here's the thing. This is like sorry. I'm almost pretty much done. I just want to say one more thing about Morton, which I was so excited because again, it's Morton. so so Bowser Jr. Like the Junior is obviously like a play on words that like it's your son. I don't really know like the whole like you guys know when someone's called Junior, their father is probably named the same name, right? Like
It is the same name.
It is
yeah,
the same name.
exactly. Like just like so Bowser is
there's a Morton Koopa Senior somewhere who
Yes.
would be at least Morton's father.
Yes, agreed. So this is where it all ties in. Okay, so Morton Koopa Jr. like you said has there must be a father out there named Morton Koopa Sr. Now, I don't know if you guys remember, but there's some theory going on around that Bowser actually has a brother. All right, there's a blue Bowser, right? In the very first Mario games, like Super Mario Bros. For 1985, there's people think that like that was um like a brother to Bowser, like, and then you never see him again. Okay, or
Which
at least
game?
Mario, like the very first Mario Brothers, like the like Super Mario Bros, like the one that was released in 1985, like the famous one that started the whole theme song. That anyways, so yeah, my theory is connecting back to Morton. This just proves that Bowser is a collective. Like there are other Koopas like him. If people are saying that Bowser in that final castle isn't him, but like a different version, that means bringing it all in circle, the Koopa royal family, there are a collective of them having their own castles, having their own sort of like minion henchmen in different castles. There must mean that in this royal family there are other Koopas, right? Like Bowser, which would bring back to the Koopalings, and thus, Bowser taking them under his wing. I guess it's complicated. Yeah.
I'm with you. I actually had prepared my counter arguments because I thought you were gonna say that they were boom booms, but you didn't.
Yeah,
But
no, yeah.
I did come up with one thing that might negate one part of your theory, but I like other than that, it's pretty much all like already like Nintendo seems to be backing what you're saying.
Okay. All right.
So I'm not saying like you like it's not a theory. I'm just saying
Oh, no.
like it
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
pretty valid other than this one point.
Okay.
So in Mario Odyssey, there's one point at which you in the final scenes, you could take over Bowser and you could go into the 8-bit section as Bowser. And it's the exact same model with Mario's mustache and hat put on of the 1985 Bowser. So it's like color-wise and everything.
Right.
As well as Super Mario Maker, I think the model's the same too. So I'm just saying that based on that, I think it's still Bowser in that game.
Oh, for
the 1985 one that might have been his brother.
Oh yeah. Oh no, yeah, 100%. No, I was kind of thinking that too because I read somewhere that it was just probably like a miscoloration or something like that. Like it technically is Bowser, but just because of like an earlier design of him, like
Yeah.
it's and that's what I was thinking too. Like even if it's like we could say that because honestly, I'm kind of more on the fence that is Bowser. It's just how he looked like in the original. Because like when you look at Mario, like now he doesn't have like I think in the original he had like brown overalls or something like that. Like you could say the same thing about Bowser. His just designs changed over the years, right? So, but yeah, I even with that in there, I still think that with the whole thing about Morton Koopa Jr., there must be another one, and the whole thing of like that they're their own species, and the whole idea of the Koopa royal family. We don't necessarily have to know who their parents are, but the fact that they are just in this kind of clan that it would make sense that the Koopalings aren't directly related to Bowser's, like they're not his children, but part of his family, like part of his like clan. He doesn't even have to be blood related, but
part of his species.
Yeah, part of the species, and thus just bringing him under his wing and going, yeah, let's
Let
work
me
together.
teach you the ways.
Yeah, teach you the ways, man. And sorry, I'm almost done. I just wanted to make one thing about what Bowser really wanted. I I saw in some I can't remember the guy's name. Another theory, but like all Bowser didn't really want to end up in this life. Like, I think he was brought. It was all Kamek's doing, because I think being born into a life of royalty with and a lot of wealth, Kamek kind of obeyed Bowser's every wish just to potentially get access to his fortune. In Mario Sunshine, you see a glimpse of happiness at the end from Bowser, just hearing that his son was like with him. Like, one day, I will get that Mario and stuff like that. Whatever he says at the end of Sunshine, and Bowser for a moment is just genuinely happy. Like it's like. Anyways, I wasn't really part of my theory. I just wanted to say that because But,
So what you're saying is there's a small chance that we could see another Cooper kid different from what we have already.
Yes,
Wow.
I'm saying there are probably other Koopalings out in the world that we don't know about, but these are part of the line of Bowser, like his Koopa line. These kids are, again, when I say kids, not directly his kids, but like have access to the Darkland throne, basically, which is why he chose them specifically.
Sorry. Have you considered? I'm just looking at this now. It's kind of interesting. Bowser's skins from Super Smash Brothers.
Yes, I was just thinking that.
What about them?
When I was doing my research. One of them, the gold one, in Super Mario World, shares a lot of resemblance to how Lemmy and Ludwig looked in Super Mario World.
Yeah, one has the same skin color as Morton.
Yes.
One has pink features, and one is blue, which a lot of the Koopa kids have a lot of blue features.
Yes, agreed.
Or the Koopalings, yeah.
Agreed. And see, that's what that would prove more that there are Bowsers or like fully grown Koopas of his same species like that.
Yeah.
And that would just prove that, okay, these kids have parents. Maybe the parents left just like they did with Bowser, and Bowser was like, yeah, you know what? I'll take you. You'll be my adopted children. I'll take you under my wing, and we'll rule the world together, right? So, yeah.
Huh.
Agreed. I also believe that Morton came from Desert Land because in the original game, the Boom Boom in that castle has also the same skin tone as Morton.
You think it's like a regional variant kind of thing?
Yeah, a regional variant, which again, it all stems back to how expensive the Koopa line is. Like, we're unaware of. That these are all just Koopas from around the world that Bowser called to his table and said, "All right, we're our best men. All right, you kids, you look like you're next in line for the throne. I'll choose you."
Oh, Alec, that's pretty interesting. You know what
Right,
other
yeah.
game has regional variants of things? Is Pokemon.
Yeah, Pokemon. It's a pretty fun game. And also, what is the topic that Klitsch and I are going to talk about next, which is the Great Pokemon War.
Oh, wow.
Pikachu.
Pika!
But yeah, basically, the Great Pokemon War is something that we believe that happened between the Kanto region versus rival nations as well. And Klitschy, can you talk more about this?
Yeah, I got it. Cynic says rival nations. I personally believe it's just Johto because it kind of works out that way. It's right next to each other.
It does, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah, we don't know for sure, but me personally, I just believe it's only Johto. Everything else is kind of scattered because the map of Pokemon is kind of hard to lay out. Anyway, in Pokemon Red and Blue, right? Do you see a lot of parents, a lot of adults? That is, you see a lot of male adults. To get that right, the character you play as has no father. Your rival has no parents. Just period. Throughout the game, most of the adults you see are either elderly. You see some bikers, but they're either elderly or the woman. And the professors don't count because it's a professor. You don't send a scientist into war. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to send Elon Musk into World War. What are you going to gain from that?
Yeah.
Technology.
In the front lines, nah.
Yeah,
No. But you get what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is that before the game starts of Red and Blue, the original game, Fire Red, same thing. Before the game starts off right after the war had just ended, either years prior or essentially recently. The war had just ended, and thus is the aftermath. And the professor has no one else to give this task of filling out the Pokedex to, so he gives it to a 10-year-old child, because all the other men, all defeated in battle, they've lost their lives in the Great War, and it's a sad time. But science must continue. Nothing stops technology, and I need to know more about Pokemon. So he sends kids out to search for Pokemon. What else was there?
I want to mention something. Kaluchi said all of the male adults. Not all of them are like old and or young, like the main character, but some of them are just like bad. So like Team Rocket, for example, they still have like middle-aged adults and stuff there. It's just that they didn't participate in the war because they were more concerned about like the criminal organization.
Mhm.
I
I
like
did say
Team Rocket.
bikers, but you know, one evidence of this war that's pretty solid evidence is LT Surge, Lieutenant Surge, a gym leader in the Kanto, the electric type gym leader, as he states to the player, "Hey kid, what do you think you're doing? You won't live long in combat, that's for sure. I'll tell you, kid, electric Pokemon saved me during the war." And he also says, they zap my enemies into paralysis. I'll do the same to you. As he states during the war. And what is he? A lieutenant. What is a lieutenant? A rank in the military or police, but you know what I'm saying? In the military,
Yeah.
right? So he was out on the front lines commanding troops as he's battling with his Magneton and Pikachu and whatever Pokemon with them fighting. He said they saved him in the war, meaning he was in a tough predicament, and they came in clutch.
That's true. I remember I remember him from the games. And
Yes.
I remember him saying that line too. And I just kind of thought, like, as a kid playing it, I'm like, oh, what's the I never really thought twice about it, but that kind of
Yeah.
makes
If you
sense.
think
When you're
exactly.
younger, you don't really think about you don't even pay attention much to the dialogue at all. Actually,
Yeah, I
No.
just
I skipped through it. Yeah. Hey.
yeah. But the next
Since
thing I want to
go ahead.
the next thing I want to mention is about the Kanto region. As you can notice in most of the Kanto region itself, there's not many places for like fun or entertainment, like cinemas and stuff like that, or like hot springs compared to like that one town. But it's mainly just Pokestops, like with the Pokemarts, and yeah, like it's a pretty boring place. So maybe they used to be like actual fun places, but which were converted for specific things. And yeah, I also want to bring up Lavender Town, which is known to be like one of the depressing towns with good music, by the way. But anyways, it has it's known to be a spooky town with like a creepy dialogue from the citizens and the trainers as well with the ominous music. And the
Mhm.
Pokemon Tower is like the main building in that town, and it's known to be a grave site for Pokemon and houses spirits and ghost type Pokemon as well. It's also known as a place where people came to visit the graves of the deceased Pokemon. Now, I'm mentioning this now, but I'm going to refer it back later about a specific character I want to mention in the next part. And the next part I want to mention is Cinnabar Island. And I got this information actually from Bulbapedia. And basically, on this island, there's a mansion called Cinnabar Mansion that was abandoned for many years and also got burned down by the volcano they had on the island. And while roaming this mansion in the Red and Blue games, it's also including Leaf Green and Fire Red, by the way. You find journal entries that inform you about like the science experiments that were carried out to basically they're carried out to clone Mew, I believe, and to make Mewtwo.
Yeah.
So basically, in these journal entries, I'm going to mention some of them. So in July 10th, they they basically they already knew about Mew. They found Mew on July 5th, but they basically said that they christened it, and it's July 10th. And in February 6th, they said that Mew gave birth, and they named the newborn Mewtwo. In September 1st, a couple months after, they mentioned that Mewtwo is far too powerful and that failed to curb its vicious tendencies. So I believe that this is actually what they were making Mewtwo is actually what was supposed to be a super weapon they could use during the war to win it.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and basically in Faroe Island, which is I believe from Emerald, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes, yeah.
um, it's basically that's where they believe Mew was discovered. And
Yeah.
in the Japanese version of Emerald, there's a signpost on the island itself that contains like part of a signature belonging to somebody with a name ending in G, like JI. And
Oh, Mr. Fuji.
yeah, it's basically Mr. Fuji. Thanks for ruining it, Daniel.
I'm deep in the Pokemon lore juice, buddy boy.
So basically,
Daniel's in every type of lore.
well, okay, so basically, Mr. Fuji, who was actually Dr. Fuji, was a researcher who wrote these diary entries, basically, and that's what people believe. And it turns out Mr. Fuji is actually one of the citizens you also meet in Lavender Town, who looks after abandoned and orphaned Pokemon at the volunteer house there. And you can also find him paying respects to dead Pokemon in the House of Memories in Soul Silver and Heart Gold as well. And yeah, you can also find in Fire Red they have, and like the other games too, Red, Blue, Leaf Green. You can also use a fame checker and find out different what people are saying about Mr. Fuji. So you can ask different people and they say different things. So one guy said that Mr. Fuji wasn't originally from Lavender Town. And in the Cinnabar gym and in the portrait, you can see that there's a photo of Blaine, which is the gym leader, as well as Mr. Fuji. And he always had good intentions as well. So he sends you a message like in game and on the fame checker itself, and it says, instead of hoping for the happiness of just your Pokemon, can I get you to wish for the happiness of all Pokemon? So this may seem like he participated in the war as like a researcher with Blaine, who was also the doctor at the time at the research center on Cinnabar Island. And yeah, he sounds like he regretted helping the war pretty much.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And yeah.
I got a little more to say. So, the person called by the Insightful Panda, who has his own theory about the Pokemon War, and I don't know if he's the originator of the theory, but it's his own take on the theory, right?
Yeah.
And some parts I don't agree with, but some parts seem pretty valid to me. As he states, he actually posed the question of why was there a war to begin with, as there's got to be a reason why both places got to fight. And he thought that it could have been that because Kanto and Johto are right next to each other and only separated through the where the champ where Mount is it Mount Silver? Oh, I know it's where the Aloof Forest. That's how they separated.
Is it Mount Silver? I thought it was like Mount Blackthorn or something. Oh no, Blackthorn's a town. Never mind.
But it's where the Aloof Forest. That's the separating mark for both regions. And he said that if they were both together, they could have had a war with Johto trying to separate from Kanto, right?
Yeah.
He also said that it kind of could be disproved because there's a lot of Pokemon in Johto that people from Kanto have not seen before. And if they were the same land, they would have known of it. So that kind of, but in that way, if you disregard that, it's hard to disregard, but if they were the same land, they would have separated. Apart from that, if the war would happen, the main thing he talks about is that the agriculture of Johto and Kanto are severely different, with Kanto being full of major cities, buildings, and Johto being very rural with a lot of like it's pretty how do you want to say it? It's like old school. There's not a lot of like metallic buildings. It's really like you go to villages, you go to where's the tower where the first gym leader is with the burning tower. It's not a very
the Bellsprout Tower?
Yeah. It's not a very high technology high city. It's pretty villages and the whole region is just scattered around everywhere, and everyone kind of uses their own what's around them to build the lifestyle. While Kanto, you got Saffron City, you got Vermilion City. I mean, Vermilion City kind of, but you got Saffron. You got bigger city with a lot of buildings, right?
Yeah.
So those things are separated. But in Johto, you have Goldenrod City, which is also called, which they call it the developing city, as Golden. They call it developing city, which means it could be recently new. And the way this person said it, that Kanto would have won the war, right? And after winning the war, they gotta get the spoils of war. And they say we will take one of what we do best, which is technology and advancing society, and we'll bring it to Johto. And thus they make Goldenrod City. And you see, Goldenrod City had a lot of buildings, had the underground. Is it a subway? Had the underground part of it, had a lot of buildings and stuff like that. Had the radio station, the radio tower too.
Yeah.
Right? And that could be from Kanto, considering how the rest of Johto isn't like that. And the gym leader of Goldenrod City, what was her name? Whitney. She was appointed by the Elite Four. Unlike other gym leaders who are appointed for the knowledge and the power and heritage of that city alone, of that city itself. And the Elite Four could have been, well, the Elite Four kind of, I'm assuming they say separate between both teams, but let's say Kanto won the war and Elite Four are backing alongside Kanto. They would choose their own gym leader. Kanto would have choose a gym leader to run the city that they're building. So that's how it is. Also in Johto, in Gold and Silver, Team Rocket's base is Team Rocket takes over Goldenrod City. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Team Rocket were there initially. Kanto won the war, and they used that as a way to sneak into Johto and start doing their own mischiefs and whatever using Goldenrod City after the war was won.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And in the Pokemon manga books, Pokemon Adventure, which isn't canon, but it's also a pretty good book, and it shows Lieutenant Surge holding around the way he wears a Pokemon around him, all the Voltorbs and Electrode. He wears it like the grenades on his strap all around him.
Oh, that's cool.
And he wears Magneton on his shoulder, like the olden days when he prepared to fight. You know how they saved him and everything.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, and one more thing in Pokemon X and Y, which may not relate, but in Pokemon X and Y, the way the ultimate weapon came to be was because of a war. Am I right?
Yeah.
And a man's Pokemon fought in that war, unfortunately lost his life, and the man used the ultimate weapon to bring it back and then turn it against the rest of the region. So in Pokemon X and Y, if it's clearly stated openly in the story of X and Y that a war was taking place, it's not out of the realm that another war could have taken place beforehand or afterhand, depending on the timeline of Pokemon that happened in Kanto and Johto. Because wars are not. It's true that war is not like impossible in Pokemon. As X and Y had a war. Black and White didn't have a war, but had a battle between the two dragons. But X and Y had a war.
Yeah.
Agreed.
That's
the theory.
Damn, I thought a pretty sick theory.
Yeah. I think it's pretty indisputable based on Lieutenant Surge that there was a war at some point. And I actually looked up his age. It says he's 34. And apparently 17 is the age that you can join the army. So it must have happened in that chunk of time, right? Which is pretty recently.
And
also,
it takes a bit of time to get into lieutenant unless you do something.
Also, in the gym, multiple of the trainers that approach you when going up to him also mention him being a war hero as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I did. Obviously, I'm trying to do my thing here. I honestly prepared some stuff, but you guys kind of trumped it. So I took to the internet, and I was just looking up that there are price differences in items that are sold given whether a country wins or loses a war. So for World War I from 1917 to 20, there was a lot of inflation. So if you were to look between Johto and Kanto, you would see item differences in like potions or orange berries and how much they sold for, and we don't see that. So is there a rebuttal for that? I just feel, I'm saying there was a war, but it wasn't between Kanto and Johto.
They're between a different region.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention, which is one thing why I don't think it is Johto, or maybe they made peace. Maybe they were in war and they made peace. Is because if you look at the architecture of Kanto, it's all like industrialized buildings and such, right? And
Yeah.
if you look at the Johto region, it's mainly traditional for the most part, except for I believe Goldenrod City. So
Mhm.
maybe at some point that there was a war inflicted on Johto, and then maybe Kanto decided to help them at some point and try to industrialize the area. That's why you see like that's the only city in the region that is actually like that.
Okay, I got
Huh.
you.
Cool.
Also, I don't know if this really helps the theory, but I thought it was kind of a cool take that Insightful Panda said that I forgot the gym. You know, in Kanto, the psychic type gym leader,
Koga?
the psychic, not the
So
psychic.
Sabrina.
Yeah, you know
Koga's
how
poison.
her next to a gym is that fighting dojo,
Yeah,
the
Yeah.
fighting types.
the karate guru
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
they said that they once fought against the psychic types to be the gym of that city, but they lost because psychic beats fighting.
Yeah.
And this person said, why would the fighting types gym really? Why would they in their minds wholeheartedly believe that they should be the owner of the gym leader of the city, right?
Yeah.
Because if psychic beats fighting, why would they think fighting can hold its own against psychic? And they said that it could have been that in the war, dark types were really prevalent, and thus psychic types were losing. And what would be dark types? Dark types, fighting types.
Or
So
bug, I
fighting type
guess.
would have helped during that war to beat the dark type. And with that, they're like, well, if we did such a good job here, we should be able to hold on as a gym leader. And thus they were like, Sabrina said no. I know how it went out. They fought, and then Sabrina beat them and whatever. But the dark types being part of the thing that could be something that affected the war. Of why those two kind of had a little thing. That's the only city where two gyms are like their gym is still there, but like there's no other city where there's like another rival gym with a completely different type. Said that they want to be the gym leader of the city. Most cities have one gym leader, and no one disputes that.
And one thing I want to mention as well, if people say, "Oh, what about the fishermen and the tamers?" Maybe in the game, like Fire Red and Red Blue, Fire Red, Leaf Green, and
Yeah.
basically, even if they were of age, they would also need to support the war. Fishermen could have been used for like tracking down Pokemon, getting Pokemon for them. So can Tamers. Tamers could also help with the supplying Pokemon to the war as well to be used. It's not like every person got drafted, whatever, you know. There's also supporting groups that go into it.
Yeah, I actually had a list of adult males that could have fought in the war specifically for that purpose, but you bring up a pretty good point, which is that not necessarily everyone would be fighting. They'd be helping out with different aspects.
There are a lot of bikers in Fire Red, Red and Blue. There's all around. There's those biking trails. A lot of bikers there could have been of age. But you never know.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Sorry,
survived the
man.
war and
Sorry,
just
man.
said,
I
"I'm
was
gonna
going to
live the
say
biker life."
bikers and cyclists are the scum of the earth, and they should not be on the streets.
Bruh.
Damn. Okay. That's a hot take.
Nothing to do with that theory, but okay.
That just took
I
a
just
weird
want to say
turn.
that.
That is
That
a
just took a weird
definitely
turn.
that is definitely an editable.
Say how
very
hard is it to
hard-
stay on the right side of the lane?
I said, calm down. He's gonna make it harder for yourself to edit.
Oh my gosh,
But yeah, that's a theory.
that's a pretty sick
And
theory,
one
man.
more thing. Know the difference between red and green, okay?
Bruh.
That's my last point.
You mean Pokemon, right?
No, cyclists.
Oh.
Ignore this guy. That's a theory.
Gosh.
Cynic, do you think you missed anything? Anything else you want to add?
Oh yeah, also stop
Really?
at stop signs. They're
Oh
there for a
my
reason.
gosh.
Oh my gosh. You know what's actually kind of interesting about your dark types were used a lot in the war theory?
Yeah.
It It's that Pokemon like Zoroark or Bisharp or Greninja even are all Pokemon you would consider being fighting not fighting type, but Pokemon that you would use in combat, right? Even with people or Urshifu even, and they're all Dark type.
Yeah, but they could hold. Yeah, and they could hold their own as
Like
a fighting type.
I'd expect to see a blade wielder or or a Pokemon that could disguise itself as a double agent or a shuriken user in a war, right?
Mhm.
Like that's interesting. That's not a knock. That's like in favor of your
Yeah,
theory.
I got you.
Pretty
Fair,
cool,
man.
guys. I'm into it.
Hmm.
All right,
So
now comes the survivor part of the episode where we
Oh.
all have to think about whose theory we think is the best, and one by one place our votes. So I'll give you guys like uh um um no, that's it. That's all the time you had to think while I was considering.
There we go.
And I'll go from the bottom of our recording session list to the top in Discord. So Kalichi, you can't vote for yourself.
Okay,
Whose theory do you vote for?
I vote for it. Daniel theory.
Let's
Man.
actually get it.
It's a solid theory. All loops around, all fits together. I mean, it makes sense.
Man, I'm gonna vomit with this much happiness.
This much excitement.
All right, Alec, who are you gonna vote for?
Oh man. Oh,
I vote for Sinric and Kalichi. Oh, nice. Thanks, Alec.
Wow.
Hey, my voice doesn't sound like that.
As he makes it sound exactly like that.
I can only pick one.
Mhm.
I mean, like, what? Were you gonna pick two?
I
He's gonna pick
like
3.
I
was like, I
like
pick all of them.
I liked all of them. The thing is though, like not this is no way a stab at Sonic or Kalichi. It's just I don't know as much Pokemon as like you two and Daniel does. Like I like Pokemon, but as far as like the lore goes, like it's like yeah, like I just don't know as much as like you guys do, which is that's just on me. That like, but it was still a pretty sick theory. Like I probably have to. Oh my gosh.
I'll just say Daniel and get it over with.
Okay, I was gonna say Daniel, but I also said I like Kenny's too. I like how ambiguous it was, but I'll say Daniel's because I do love Mario and Van Gore and everything
Okay.
in there.
So although I do like Kenny's going out there type of theory, I'm probably going to choose Daniel because it was a unique theory that had a lot of relevant information and accurate
Oh.
information.
Let's actually get this.
Let's actually win the bread and butter here.
Kenny, how about? I mean, I think at this point it's basically impossible for me to lose.
Yeah, but I also vote for you.
Let's go.
You always withdraw yourself from this.
Yeah, I have to withdraw. Honestly, though, I was going to. Okay, in my mind, Alex has a lot of evidence for it from Nintendo itself.
My
Kenny's,
guy?
yeah. So Kenny's, I literally can't. You can't dispute it.
Yeah, you can't. There's not much
Can't prove
information.
it.
Yeah, you can't prove it either.
That's why it's so interesting.
And I'm actually very surprised because I know a lot about Pokemon, and I fully intended to be able to knock down their theory. And I was in like a one little sense, but I'm actually very impressed with the amount of stuff you guys put into it. So honestly, all of them are really good.
Which one do you choose?
Yeah, which one do you
I guess I'll choose the Pokemon one simply because it's a theory that actually in game there's lore hints to it. Like Lieutenant Surge, for example, is very hard to dispute.
Yeah.
And also for the fact that we trumped your
I didn't say all that.
I mean, there is that too. So I don't necessarily believe that the war was like super duper recent, but it literally had to have been within like a couple decades at least.
Yeah. At least 9 years, I think. 10 years, maybe.
Yeah. So
Did I
yeah,
read somewhere?
that's my vote, but it doesn't matter
Sorry.
because your boy Daniel swept it up.
Yeah, you still he didn't make a difference.
Dude,
Yeah.
it was a clean
I mean, to be fair, it was well
sweep.
deserved. It was you made it up yourself, which is pretty
Agreed.
Yeah,
I mean, I tried,
Agreed.
you know, honestly, I was pretty excited because like my theory was gonna be about like the individual portrait ghosts and like their lives, but then I kind of made the connection about the paintings, and I was like, huh, because I watch a lot of Mario Odyssey speedruns, but
Nice.
yeah,
No, it was a sick thing, man. It was actually like like I said before, I knew what your theory was gonna be about, but as soon as you started talking about like that whole connection, I'm like, oh man, this is deep. Like
I did not know his theory, and I don't know anything about Mario's Luigi Mansion. And it was as you went on and connected to the other games. I was like, yeah, it all circles around.
bear, man, bear.
nice. All right. So to everyone listening, I'd like to give you a big ol' thanks from the TLT crew
Yeah, man.
for giving us this video a watch and for sticking around for season 1. We will be taking off a couple months. We're gonna have some fresh stuff in the meantime to let y'all chew on for your lunches. But then we'll be back for season 2, and it'll be fun. So
Look
stay
forward to
tuned.
that.
Yeah, and we will be coming out with a special tidbit for y'all, a mini kind of behind the scenes episode.
A wrap up kind of
Yeah,
Yeah.
a good old wrap up for season 1. But
For the
that'll be
2020
coming.
season.
Yeah.
thing.
All right. So for the
All right.
final time of season 1, I'd like to bid you all a very happy recess.
Oh man, that was good.
Hit the outro.